Coming up on the Pioneer Sideline, joining the elite. Find out which Point Park athlete has already reached a career milestone in this young fall season.
Back to back, we'll tell you which Point Park soccer team notched 9 goals in back-to-back shutouts last week.
All things end in a tie. Hear what game ended with matching scores in Week 2 of the NFL season. It's time to come on down to the Pioneer Sideline.
Good evening and welcome to the Pioneer Sideline. I'm Sarah Maculin.
And I'm Mike Turk. The Point Park volleyball team kicked off conference play this past Friday night at home against the reigning conference champions, IU East. Let's roll some highlights. Now, Point Park taking on rival IU East in the home opener. We're going to start off with Ashley Taylor on the outside with a little tip that gets things going. Now, that's not going to be the first point she gets to start off this match. Outside again, big kill from Taylor. Coming right here on the right side, puts it down through the floor. Here comes the third time, but with the block that time. Great job by Taylor to start off the game. Fast forward, 14-14. Taylor again, overpass kill there. But after that, IU East is going to go on a 3-1 run. But after a timeout, Jordan Dixon flexing her muscles on the outside. Jaslyn Rozier, not one, but she's going to get 2 blocks right there. Puts that straight down. Get out of here, she says. Then IU East finishes set 1 on a 5-1 run, though. Scored 25-19 on the set 2. This one was all Red Wolves the entire time. The set starts out on an 8-1 run by IU East. Poor serve receive and not being able to hit around the block here really hurt the Pioneers. They're going to drop this one 25-17. Fast forward to set number 3. 22-17 now, trailing by 5. They get a timeout. And out of that timeout, you're going to see Jordan Dixon on the outside with a kill down the left line. Then here's libero Morgan D'Angelo. It's going to hit the top of the tape, but it rolls over for the ace. And who else but Ashley Taylor coming up with an overpass kill. Pioneers are pumped up. They're coming back from the dead. Now down 2. Failed dump attempt here by Danielle Mitchell, the setter. IU East calls a timeout. But right out of that timeout, the one thing you don't want to see coming out of it, D'Angelo is going to put a little bit too much on that serve after a fantastic run. Then Jordan Dixon's going to put it in about the same spot, goes out of bounds. Then Pioneer's not done. Jaslyn Rozier out of the middle once again on a beautiful one ball. The miscommunication here by IU East. That's going to lead to a 24-24 tie. And a hitting error here, and it's going to be PPU set point once again. But a couple errors down the line on PPU side is going to lead to a 28-26 IU East sweep. Their third in a row over Point Park. And here's what Coach B had to say after the game.
I think we started off strong, and then I think we let a lot of the outside elements kind of take a factor into it. And then I think the third set, we came out pretty strong and ready to fight. We just couldn't quite finish it out. The nice thing is we have an entire about week and a half before we have another conference match. So this is a good baseline to see where we need to kind of what we need to work on and where we need to go from here, and luckily we have the time to do it, so should be good for our next conference match.
So we're now joined in studio by our reporter Taylor Spirito, who has more information about the Pioneers' first home match of the season.
Now Taylor, how about you take us through that match there against IU East? Lost it 3-0. What happened? What did we see from the Pioneers in that match?
I mean, you saw in the highlight reel, it was very much IU East almost the entire game. That last set, we really started getting a comeback going. You know, we tied it 3 separate times, 14-14, 22-22, and then 24-24, but we just couldn't get it done. We couldn't get out of our own heads, I believe. We had that comeback going, like I said, but we just couldn't capitalize on it, and it really hurt us going into, breaking those ties.
Now, a 3-0 sweep to begin conference play. Obviously, that's not the way you want to start that off, 0-1. Should we be worried about this Pioneers team at all this season?
I don't believe so. We've got some great players on our team. We've got Ashley Taylor. We have Destiny Tucker, who's out with a leg injury at the moment. She's our lead middle blocker / middle hitter. She's, like I said, out with a leg injury, but She should be coming back fairly shortly here. And once she gets back, defense wins games. You saw it here. IU East defense was awesome, and ours was just lacking just that little bit with Destiny Tucker out. So once that gets back and once our defense starts going, that's going to be the deciding factor in a lot of these games.
Now, they have a week before their next game, and it's non-conference for W&J before they come back on that Friday to play Midway. So in this next week after that tough loss, what do they need to do to prepare to come back strong, win that non-conference game, and then hopefully that first conference victory?
I think we just need to get out of our own heads here. I mean, you know, the mental game is always going to be a strong suit when it comes to if you have a good mental game, you're going to have a great physical game. We started getting our mental game back in that third set when we started making that comeback and getting those ties. If we just have that mental state throughout the entire game, then I don't see why we can't, you know, pull off a win.
Well, thank you, Taylor, for that report. Now, coming up next, we sit down with volleyball player Ashley Taylor for an exclusive interview.
And later, we've got everything you need to know about the Point Park soccer teams. All that and more next.
Alright, go. Go to our new website, uview.pointpark.edu. Go, 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 go!
Join UView and find your herd.
Be like, join EOP. And 3, 2, join EOP.
I just said grab him now or else I can step
Yeah.
Join on point with politics. 3, 2, 1.
Join Pioneer Sideline.
Loneliest number that you'll ever do.
Welcome back. We now want to welcome a special guest into the studio today. She's coming off an impressive 2017 season in which she gathered a career-high 359 kills and was named to the All-Conference First Team.
12 games into the 2018 season, and she is showing no signs of slowing down. We are now joined by a former conference champion and newest member of the 1,000 Career Kills Club, right side hitter Ashley Taylor.
So what was it like? I want to ask first your reaction. We'll talk about the 1,000 kills. Did you know coming into the game that you were nearing it, that it was a possibility? And then when it happened, what was your reaction after playing all these years and finally reaching that milestone?
I knew that I was 18 kills away. It was only because last year I wanted to reach it so bad. But then I did have my injury last season, which put me out for almost the whole season. So I just knew for a fact that I only had 18, so I pushed. And as soon as the games were over that night, I went onto the stats and I was just like, I got it. Like, I was so happy. And in the same game, our libero, Morgan D'Angelo, she got her 1,000th dig as well. So it was kind of like a great feeling for both of us to get it together because we have been playing together for the last couple of years. So it was definitely a good accomplishment, and it was good. I wanted it last year, but you know, with bad stuff happening, but definitely it was a great feeling.
Now you talked about that injury, and I was actually going to bring that up. You just seem to be getting stronger, though, Ashley. Especially game by game, you're always impressing other players, other fans of the sport. Now you had a career high, 24 kills in a single game against Shawnee State earlier this season. What was it like to get such a? I've never seen a stat like that. That was amazing. How did it feel to get that high of kills?
It was great. Like the whole game, I didn't even like focus on the kills at all. You know, last year we had a very interesting time playing Shawnee, so their middle hitter and I didn't get along really well.
She hit me in the head during the warm-ups when we were out there with the volleyball. Well, I don't know if you remember that middle hitter.
Yeah, she's something. But I feel like I just had so much fire that game because I knew how much beef her and I had from last year. And it was an instant attitude change for the both of us because, like, she was trying to push at us, but, like, she didn't get it at all. And, you know, it only went up when I remember specifically in the game, Julia set me really tight, and I, like, jumped up and I, like, swiped the ball and just crushed her in the face. And it just, like, it was pretty great, you know? So, like, the fire just went on from there. And I don't know, like I said, I didn't think of it. And then when I saw the stats, like, I was like, really? Like, I didn't even, like, know, just because I was so focused into the game and just so, like, excited about it.
You're in the zone.
Yeah, always, you know? So that was great. It was pretty fun.
So transitioning into Friday, you guys had your first conference game. It didn't really go how you expected. What's your takeaway from that game, and what can you take from that to kind of fuel you going into your next conference matchup, which is next Friday, I believe?
It's actually Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, conference,
Yeah.
I guess next week, yeah. Friday was definitely not what we expected. We just did not play to our level that we have been. It wasn't like the competition that we have in our own gym, you know, and our coach just like threw in a lot of like things saying like, oh, the outside factors affected you, like the gym being as crowded and like boys and all this stuff, and, you know, and like in a way, like I totally agree with her, but like me personally, I can't, like I don't let that bother me, just because like to me, when the crowd is there to watch us, like that is something that you cannot like let happen. You're like, you know what I mean? Like to me, like being a senior and everything and being in this program for a long time, like I know like you don't want to lose a home game, let alone a conference game, you know? So it definitely was, I cried after the game. I did, because I was so upset. Just because of the fact that like I was so into it, you know, like I don't let those things bother me. Like I let the crowd and my friends and family and my team just fuel me, you know what I mean? So it was just like more fire just came to me, and that's why I know that I was on, and you know, and that's why Coach B changed it to a 5-1 in the third set, because she didn't want to take me out. And you know, there were a couple good times, but like we need to constantly just press when we need to. We can't miss key serves. We can't do just things like that. And this week is a huge week for us to just concentrate in the gym on specific things and just continue to do what we do, because we know that we're great. Like we know we have the talent. And there's absolutely no reason why we should have lost, but you know, it's a fluke, you know.
It's the little things sometimes you have to focus on.
Yeah, it's just the little things. It happens, you know. We can't like win them all. We can't lose them all. So we'll see. I mean, so far it's only day 2 into our week of practice, and you know, it's straight focus. You know, I have seen something different literally just in a couple days from the girls from Friday. You know, we had a very long talk as a team after our game Friday, and you know, we kind of all laid it out on the table, just picked on each other a little bit and pointed out what we needed to fix, because you know, sometimes like that's what our team is. We're so true and so honest to each other that we're okay with expressing like who needs to fix what and just pointing them out and stuff, you know what I mean? But we don't want to do that in the middle of a game, so I think that was something that we needed to do.
Ashley, we want to thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We really appreciate it, and good luck with the rest of your season.
Thank you.
Now, later, we'll have everything you need to know about Week 2 in the NFL in our National Sports Report. Don't go anywhere.
What's one word to describe CAB?
Welcoming.
Community.
Creative.
Experiences.
Family. Openness.
Pineapple.
The Campus Activities Board is a student-run organization that consists of 7 different committees. Each focuses on event planning, marketing, and administrative activities. Join us in organizing the juiciest events on campus, from late-night bingo to festive dances to our team bonding meetings. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Point Park Cap, or like us on Facebook at Campus Activities Board at Point Park University.
Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. I'm Josh Troop alongside Jess Paterchak.
Defending his decision to kick out 15 Cuban diplomats from the United States.
Thanks, Allison.
Fitness on Demand has returned to Point Park.
Residents fear that Mount Agung will have a repeat of 1963's eruption.
Two-star NFL quarterbacks made the headlines this week after wrapping up.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. That's your news tonight. For Nick Tomarello, I'm Alex Grubbs. Have a great night.
Welcome back. After getting off to a rocky start, the Point Park women's soccer team has won their last 2 games in shutout fashion.
Yes, Sarah, the women's team picked up their second win of the season on Saturday in a non-conference matchup. To discuss the women's hot streak and their upcoming conference game on Thursday, we bring in Andrea Christian, making her Pioneer Sideline debut. Now, Andrea, the Pioneers have won back-to-back games. How's that going to feel them going into the weekend when they have to play Brescia?
Well, it's so much of a confidence booster for us since now we're starting to get in our heads that yes, we can compete against these teams. The first 4 games were really rough, and we were starting to work out our formation and shape. And we were trying, since we have a lot of new incoming players, we were trying to figure out where we want to put them and where it fits best. But now, since we're heading into our conference games, we're ready for it.
Now, I want to talk about the defense because the women have been getting the job done on offense these last couple games. But the defense has been outstanding. I mean, last game it was a 20-8 advantage for the offense, but Ashton Webb only saw 4 shots. She's doing a great job, 72% save percentage, but she's not seeing very many because the defense is doing so good. So how is that such a key factor in how well they're playing right now?
Our back four is it's a strong compact because we have we have 2 outside defenders that gives us speed along the side where we can get that ball up to the forwards.
Now, I want to talk about Tia Haru, freshman, coming in. She has a little relation with Point Park baseball players. We got a couple who used to play here, so I'm just curious. She scored her first goal. What was her initial reaction?
She was very excited. She just came back from injury that she had since preseason. So when she finally got back in there and scored the first goal of the game, it was a very confidence booster for her. And now it's we're looking forward to what else she can do on the field.
Andrea, thank you so much for that coverage. Now, let's switch things over to the men's soccer team, who picked up their 4th win of the season last Wednesday against Penn State Greater Allegheny.
The men's team will also pick up conference play this week, traveling to Brescia University on Thursday. To discuss how the men can keep their early success going in the conference play, we are joined at the desk by Allison Schubert. So Allison, now I want to talk about the defense for this men's team. Out of their 6 games, they've allowed 1 goal or less. How important is it for them to keep this up? And with the replacement of seniors that they lost last year, how key is this?
This is absolutely crucial to keep them on the path that they're going in so far. As you mentioned, they're 4-2 so far, and that's a really good start for these men. And you can't have offense without defense. So that's how everything is being created for them, and that's a very crucial step in keeping them on the path that they're going on.
Now, we've seen some players really stepping up. Herrick Bale has really stood out on the stat sheet. 11 points, 5 goals so far. Can we see him to continue the score and get this offense progressing throughout the season?
I think so for sure. And him mixed with his Dutch friends, like a little Dutch powerhouse under the Dutch Jeroen Walstra, he's really stepped up. He's only a sophomore, which is insane because he's been producing so much so fast. They only have 18 goals on the season, well, only, but they have 18 goals over the 6 games, and he has 5 of them, and that's insane. So if he can keep it going, and then the defense keeps going, they have a pretty good thing going for them.
Now I'm going to talk to the goalies, which are a critical part of any soccer team. Now, the Point Park team has been splitting between 2 goalies in Daniels and Somoza. Now, Somoza has a slightly better record, 2-0. Who do you see starting in this upcoming conference matchup?
Looking at stats alone, you said Somoza's 2-0, Daniels is 1-2. Neither of those are bad, and both of them have been performing very well, but I'm going to say that Walstra goes with Somoza going into the Brescia game on the 20th. So that's my guess, but I guess we'll just have to see.
Well, thanks, Allison. When we come back, find out if the Pittsburgh Steelers were able to get their first win of the season in their home opener.
And what quarterback set an NFL record for the most scoring throws in the first 3 games of a career? Find out next.
The United Student Government at Point Park University, working since the 1970s to solve the issues that matter to you. What concerns do you have about the university? student life, safety, food service. Send us an email to studentconcerns@pointpark.edu or stop by our office on the 7th floor of the Student Center. You can also attend our weekly open meetings on Mondays at 3:15. Follow us on social media at USG_PPU for more. The United Student Government. By the students. For the students.
The Point Park Sports Network, bringing you live coverage of Pioneer Athletics on Stretch Internet, the home of the River States Conference and the NAIA. Subscribe today for complete access to the Point Park volleyball, baseball, basketball, and soccer teams. Watch live and on-demand broadcasts and don't miss a minute of Point Park Athletics. Head to pointparksports.com/live for broadcast listings. The Point Park Sports Network, your streaming home for Point Park Athletics.
3, 2, 1.
Please visit our website. Please, it's a nice website. Please visit our website. Please.
If you have ever watched television, whether accidentally or on purpose, YouView is for you.
Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. I'm Josh Troop alongside Jess Paterchak.
Defending his decision to kick out 15 Cuban diplomats from the United States.
Thanks, Allison. Fitness on Demand has returned to Point Park.
Residents fear that Mount Agung will have a repeat of 1963's eruption.
Two-star NFL quarterbacks made the headlines this week after wrapping up.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. That's your news tonight. For Nick Tomarello, I'm Alex Grubbs. Have a great night.
Loneliest number that you'll ever do.
Welcome back. Week 2 of the NFL season has officially come to a close, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are still without a win after facing the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday.
To discuss the Steelers' performance over the weekend and what else is happening regionally in sports, we have Colton Tobias in studio. Colton?
Thank you, Mike and Sarah. Well, the Steelers season isn't going according to plan so far, as they lost their home opener on Sunday to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs 42-37 to fall to a 0-1-1 record. The Chiefs exploded out of the gate, taking a 21-0 lead until the Steelers fought back to tie it right before halftime. But the Steelers defense couldn't handle Kansas City's high-powered offense as they took a 2-touchdown lead during the fourth quarter. The Steelers had multiple chances to get back into the game, however, with a safety and a late touchdown. But it wasn't enough, as the Chiefs won their first game in the Steel City since 1986. The Steelers will travel to Florida next week to take on the unpredicted scorching Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. Now the Pirates, who are not mathematically eliminated from the postseason yet, will begin their last two series at PNC Park this week with 3 games apiece against the Kansas City Royals and the Milwaukee Brewers as they continue to fight to stay over 500. They, however, must continue that fight without right fielder Gregory Polanco, as he will be out for at least 7 to 9 months due to shoulder surgery. And the ice will finally be breaking out soon at PBG Paints Arena, as the Penguins will begin preseason play in Buffalo tonight on the quest for their 3rd Stanley Cup in 4 years.
I want to go back to the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Tampa Bay, a Monday night primetime football game down there. Now, the Steelers defense has been struggling here early in the season, and arguably the hottest team in football right now is Fitzmagic, his beard, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What does the Steelers defense have to do to control that Tampa Bay offense?
Well, Mike, I was in attendance on Sunday's game in Heinz Field, and the 2 things I took out of the Steelers' defense is missed tackles and broken coverages. And these have been problems that have been going on ever since Dick LeBeau left and Troy Polamalu and Nate Taylor retired. Now, what the Steelers have got to do next weekend is to stop their big playmakers in Deshaun Jackson and Mike Evans. And not to mention, they have got to stop arguably the hottest quarterback in the NFL right now in Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is coming off a 4-touchdown game with 402 yards against the defending Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, thank you, Colton. Now, the Steelers didn't end in a tie this weekend, but 2 other teams did, something that hasn't been done in over 40 years.
To recap that game and the rest of the week 2 in the NFL, let's send things over to Aaron Becker. Aaron?
Well, week 2 of the NFL season lived up to all the hype plus more, as there are only 7 2-0 teams left and now 4 teams with ties in their records. The Bengals are at the top of the AFC North after they won Thursday night 34-23 against the Baltimore Ravens. A.J. Green helped with an incredible career-high 3 first-half touchdowns. And the Vikings and Packers are the 2 new teams with ties in their records after the clock hit 0 Sunday in overtime with a score of 29-29. Minnesota missed 2 potential game-winning field goals in overtime, very similar to the Steelers-Browns game last week. And the Saints came back to beat the Browns 21-18 after trailing 12-3, putting up 18 fourth-quarter points to win the game. And what may come as a surprise, it was New Orleans' first win over Cleveland since 2006. The Chiefs beat the Steelers 42-37 as well in a shootout in the Steel City. The 2 teams combined for a total of 924 offensive yards as Patrick Mahomes passed for 6 touchdowns in the game. It was Kansas City's first win in Pittsburgh since 1986. And the talk of the town, Ryan Fitzpatrick, also known as Fitzmagic, led the Buccaneers to victory over the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles 27-21. Tampa Bay started off fast as Deshaun Jackson caught a 75-yard touchdown pass on the first play of the game against his former team. Fitzpatrick leads the league with 819 passing yards after the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. And last but not least, the Jaguars won the rematch of last year's AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots in Jacksonville, 31-20. The dominant Jaguars defense held Rob Gronkowski to 2 catches for 15 yards, and Blake Bortles, he received a lot of criticism over the last 2 seasons, but he threw 4 touchdown passes, proving his doubters wrong once again. Week 3 setting up to be another great week for football, as teams who have started out hot are trying to keep their streaks going, and there are still 9 teams who are looking to get their first win and seasons back on track.
Now, Aaron, you mentioned that 7 teams still remain undefeated after week 2. Now, what teams of those 2-0 teams have surprised you the most? I mean, we have teams like Miami, who no one expected to really do anything this season, or Tampa Bay with Fitzmagic. So they're putting up big numbers. What do you think?
Yeah, the Miami Dolphins and Tampa Bay Buccaneers are probably at the top of the 2 most surprising teams in the league right now that are 2-0. I have to give it to the Buccaneers, however. If you look at the schedules and the teams they've faced so far, the Dolphins have played the Tennessee Titans and the New York Jets. And all respect to them, but if you look at the Buccaneers, they have now beaten the New Orleans Saints, who are arguably a playoff contender this year, maybe for a Super Bowl, and the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles. So those 2 teams are, very surprising right now, but all the hype around Fitzmagic and that beard right now, I got to go with the Buccaneers, guys.
Well, thanks, Aaron. That's all we have time for this week. Be sure to join us next week at the same Pioneer time,
the same Pioneer channel,
and the same Pioneer Sideline.